We started in 1981 planting our first Christmas trees, sold our first trees in 1983, and until about 5 years ago, that's what we were in. We were in the Christmas tree business and doing field trips. And then we moved into a corn maze and moved from the corn maze to a pumpkin patch and all the various phases of agritainment, a petting area for children, climbing trees, corn boxes, just lots of fun things for children to do. Originally, it was planned as a college fund for the children, and they would help us on the farm, and the funds from the Christmas trees would go to send them to college. And after our oldest child was finishing up on his third degree, my wife said, "How long are we going to do this?" And that's been several years ago now, and we're continuing to do it, and we continue to expand. Typically, we start planting the new crop as soon as we've stopped the harvest of the previous crop. About the 15th of December to the 20th of January is planting time. And we'll put out herbicides on those trees, and we'll put out herbicides on the trees that are already established on the farm. And then in February, we prune our Christmas trees for the first time. We shear the trees. And we also make our first application of fertilizer at that point. Usually it's about March when we'll start a spray program for fungi in the trees. And we'll make that application, and then we'll make a new or additional herbicide application as well. And that's pretty much the program on Christmas trees, other than another shearing in late July. And then the 1st of October, typically we'll put our colorant on our Christmas trees. Along about the same time, we're opening the pumpkin patch. So we're coloring Christmas trees, getting them ready for harvest in November, December, and preparing our pumpkins and getting them ready for sale to the customers as they come to the farm for the fall harvest time. The way the choosing and cutting and buying works for the customer is typically they will come to the farm sometime around opening weekend, November the 20th, or Thanksgiving week, and they will go to the field and pick their tree, and they will tag that tree. And they will come back to the office, pay for the tree, and then of course the children will spend several hours at the farm playing and doing fun things. And then usually about 10 days to 2 weeks later, that family will come back to the farm once again. And at that point, typically we cut the tree for them, and we'll bring the tree up to the front. We'll process that tree for them. We'll shake it and make sure all the bird nests are out of it, all the spiders are knocked out, and then we use a drill type stand, and we'll drill that tree and prepare it for the stand, bale the tree. If they don't have a stand, we sell stands. And then we load the tree in the back of their truck, or we'll place it on the top of their SUV and tie it down securely for them and head them on their way home. Probably the greatest pleasure I've received from running Curry Farms is really love to see the smiles on the kids' faces. My wife and I have 7 grandchildren, so we kind of get to pre-test a lot of things, and we get to know if it's going to be a fun thing for the kids. Our grandchildren are from 3 to 12, so we got a good range for that. But to see children that particularly come from the cities that maybe have never been close to a goat, have never climbed a tree, don't have a clue what a kernel of corn is, it's very enlightening to me to see the smiles of pleasure that they get. In the pumpkin patch, it's just absolutely amazing. They don't know where to stop. They just continue to run and play and have a big time. I believe proximity to a metropolitan area is extremely important. Maybe not as important as it was a few years ago. People don't seem to mind driving 100 miles anymore, even though gas is more expensive now. It's an outing, and people aren't maybe going on long vacations, but they're doing like weekend trips for their families. And the schools are doing the same thing. They're bringing the children out, and they want to spend more time on the farm. The number of people visiting our farm each year, certainly it varies, and it's become a greater number each year as we've added more features to the farm. But beginning October 1st with the pumpkin patch through October, we've had about 6,000 guests this year, and that's from the little knee-high visitors to mom and dad and grandparents But when we finish the Christmas tree season, we will have had around 20,000 guests this year. Looking at diversity of enterprises, I think is a very, very important thing in Louisiana. Louisiana is a very diverse state, from the north end to the coastlands. There are a lot of opportunities for people in Louisiana. For example, here in northeast Louisiana, we have lots of flat lands that typically don't flood much. Our climate is great. We have lots of days that people can come to the farm and do things. Whereas in the south end of the state, we've got coastlands, but there are a lot of things to see in the marshes of Louisiana. So we try to sell Louisiana as a package here at our farm. It's educational for children, and what probably is the most amazing, it's educational for parents, because many, many parents really have no idea how many things take place in the scientific community anymore. And this is what we're all about. This is about science. It's about growing things and the opportunities that may be there for their children, something that they might enjoy in future times. I'm asked the question often, how many acres in your farm? And usually the answer I say is 40. I don't say 39 and a half. But, and they'll say, well, what can you do on 40 acres? And at that point, I begin to explain to them that what you have to do in these type enterprises is you use intensive agricultural practices, and you get more production off of fewer acres. You move to a crop that has a higher income potential, and in our case, we've added these other features such as the corn maze, and the kids love the maze, and it allows them to go through the cornfield, see it growing, and then come to the pumpkin patch. And that's all about excitement, and you're talking about the potential for a lot of income off of 1 acre. So you just have to choose the particular crops or whatever the feature is going to be for your particular farm. Make some decisions on how many hours you want to spend on your product, on your property, and make a decision on, is this the amount of money that I want to generate per year? And then look long term. Don't look at just 1 year's time. Most all of these venues are something that you build over several years, and it's a fun venture.